welcome to the Cowboys LA Radio. I'm your host, Eric Trujillo, coming to you here after another Dallas Cowboys victory. The Cowboys pick up the victory over the Bears, 31-17, at home at AT&T Stadium. We're going to be talking Dallas Cowboys defense, Dallas Cowboys offense, and should Dak replace Tony Romo? So let's go ahead and get started. The defense was not very good. They were able to put 17 points on them. To be honest with you, maybe if this was any other team, I would be happy with the performance. But we had Alshon Jeffrey, who was, you could tell he was hurt the whole game. He was not at 100%, and he was still able to get his yards on us, get his catches on us. But the most important thing was the quarterback that we were playing. Hoyer is traditionally an interception machine, and he looked like a Pro Bowler last night. That is what worries me at this point, and it stems from a couple of different things. Because let's start with the coverage. Brandon Carr had a pretty good game. It seems like once they had the lead, he really was giving a lot of cushion, and they started getting beat on the 5-yard ins and outs. And I guess that's something that is going to come with that lead. But overall, he had a solid night. When he had to tighten down, he did. I believe the same for Mo Claiborne. The catch that White had on him with one hand was a great play because Mo was there. If he would have high-pointed the ball, that's an interception for Mo. So it sucks. He was so close. But overall, he still had a very good game. The touchdowns that came on Byron Jones to Zach Miller. First one was a very nice play by Miller. Body possession, kind of like what Witten does. And it was a great pass by Hoyer. Touchdown. The second one, unfortunately, the second touchdown, he actually was picked by his own player. Anthony Hitchens didn't see him coming, didn't get out of the way, picked off Byron. Easy touchdown. Byron had a good night himself. He is starting to come along. He had some tackles at the goal line on run support that were really good. I mean, this kid can fly. He's smart. He can shut down DB. He can shut down tight ends. He's doing a great job. He's going to come along. And that first touchdown was on him. That second one wasn't. And still room for him to grow. It's only his second year. Barry Church and Wilcox came in, and they were good. They were solid. They had good support. They still weren't able to stop the pass attack. But if you realize that most of the passes were coming over the middle, and short 5, short 6, short 7, and maybe you had something to do with the lead. But what had me the most worried was that we had zero pass rush. Now we got some, but it seemed like it was too late in the game. And it came from two guys that I felt should have got more run because the rest of the game there was hardly any pressure coming from anyone, and that's from Ryan Davis and David Irving. They were able to get some pressure from the DN spot, and the Crawfords, unfortunately, at this point, it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing to have somebody like Ty Craw not be able to get any pressure, whether that be from the DN position or when he was playing D-tackle the first 2 games. He just has not been getting it done. But you know who has? Terrell McClain and Malik Collins. Very excited. Malik Collins is exactly what you need in a D tackle on a 4-3. A big boy who can eat space, take on 2 blockers, and get pass rush when necessary. That's kind of what he's been able to do. He's been able to kind of collapse that middle of the pocket, but no one has been able to come in and finish on the outside. Along with Terrell McClain, those 2 guys did great last night, and it makes me start to wonder what's the future at the end for us. I know we're going to get DeMarcus Lawrence back week 5, but teams can double team him. Maybe that'll open up someone else, and he still hasn't yet proved to be somebody that is the man on defense. So I'm hoping that that's going to be what can get us over the top, and still praying that somehow, some way, Tapper can get healthy so we can at least see what we have. because we know that he's probably the most explosive DN that we have on the team, on the roster, after DeMarcus Lawrence. He may be even more explosive than him, but we haven't had a chance to see that because he's been hurt. The linebacker play was not very good. Sean Lee didn't show up the way he usually does, and Durant was okay. Sean Lee was okay, but they didn't show up the way that they usually do. Usually does. Sean Lee making those big plays behind the line of scrimmage. And of course, it's Hitchens. Hitchens was bad, unfortunately, in the short snaps that I got to see. I'm gonna look at the film again, and I'll be able to give a better analysis later on during the week. But at first look, he was missing his gaps, missing his reads, picking off his own players. It was bad for Hitch, and I don't know what's wrong, because he started off his career thinking, hey, we got something here, and he's just regressed from there. But that's where the passing was coming from. The passing was going over the middle. They were looking for mismatches and going, and that worries me because anyone can do that. And Hoyer, who's not a very good QB, was able to pick us apart. So what happens when we do play somebody like Aaron Rodgers or Eli Manning again, or Kirk Cousins the next time, and he doesn't miss? Because we can get Kirk Cousins the MVP of their team, or we can get Kirk Cousins the bum of their team. And that worries me. And God forbid we give Carson Wentz an opportunity for people to start praising him even more. So my defense worried me tonight. I hope that we can get DeMarcus Lawrence back and find a way to really be able to compete on defense a bit more than we have. It shouldn't have been this close. But you can blame it on the Terrence Williams fumble, but it wasn't like he gave the ball up to them on the 20-yard line. They had to go the length of the field almost and score a touchdown, and they did. So at this point, defense is a worry. I wasn't worried last week because it was a pretty good Washington Redskins offense and we were able to contain them. This week scared me. This was a bad team. It is a bad team. The Bears are down and out, and we're a couple of plays away from losing this game. And you may not think that, but that leads me to the next segment, the offense. This is why we drafted Ezekiel Elliott. He was the workhorse of the night, 140 yards of rushing, 2 receptions for 20 yards. Should have had 3 touchdowns, but they were vultured from him by Dak, Alfred, and Lance. And it was a great night for Zeke. This is why we drafted him, because we need to keep our defense off the field, get them rested, and control the time of possession and run the ball. And that's what we did. That's how we won. But against better teams, it's not gonna work that way. It doesn't work that way. This is a bad team that we beat last night, and we should have beat them a little bit more handily. But overall, it was a good night. I'm happy with the win. Dak was 19 of 24 for 248 yards, 10 yards average passing, 1 touchdown passing, 1 touchdown rushing. It was a good night for Dak, and I'm really happy with what I'm seeing from him. This kid is good. He's poised. He still has things to learn. He had one pass where he late in the second half where he looked to his right and then said, "Hey, I'm gonna throw it to Beasley," and he kind of put a little more oomph into it and barely got there. And that could have been a turning point because it was so close that if the DB plays the ball and he undercuts it right, he could pick that and he's gone. I don't think anyone's catching him. And those are things that he's gonna learn. It's not like college. You can't just, if you're gonna be throwing to the outside, you have to kind of pre-read that and put it out there before the DB can make a play on it. He missed Dez to the left on a looked like a corner route. Dez could have caught it, but it really was behind where Dez was at. And with Dez looking like he was injured, that was a hard play. That was a hard play for him to make. But overall, Dak had a really good night, and people are ready to call him the starter from now on. And we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. Dez Bryant, though, I'm just happy he was walking around, because after looking at the replay, I thought that there was no way that he was going to get up from that and be good for the rest of the season, let alone the game. So I'm just happy that he's back. He got 3 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown. He's going to have more tests done for the MRI. The X-ray results were negative. So MRI is just to make sure, and we got to keep our fingers crossed and hope that it is just a sprain, because we're going to need Dez Bryant. Because here's the truth. It's not time for Dak to replace Tony Romo yet. I think we're blessed to have him because I think without Dak, it would have been really hard to get these last two victories. Maybe impossible with Mark Sanchez. But it's been a team effort. It's been Zeke and Dak and Dez and Witten and Cole, and the defense is getting turnovers. Defense got 2 turnovers this game. They weren't very good, but they got 2 turnovers, and those were the 2 extra possessions we won by 14 points. So that's really as simple as it breaks down. But he's not Tony Romo, and that's the thing. Sooner or later, teams are gonna say, okay, let's completely stop this run defense, this run offense. They're gonna commit to it. And then we're going to have to pass. And it's going to be on his shoulders. But it's just passing. And we haven't seen that yet. Yes, we've seen teams come in and put 8 guys in the box. But it hasn't been by a team that's really, really good on both ends. I think that the Giants are the best defense that we've played. And their offense is lacking. But when we get to a complete team that can stop our run, and they're not going to kick field goals or make mistakes. They're going to go touchdown for touchdown. And we're going to need 34 points to win a game. That's where we miss Tony Romo. And that's where this team can still improve and get better. So when Romo's back and healthy, and he can give us his 300 yards passing performances with 3 touchdown passes, and then you add in Ezekiel Elliott 120 yards rushing and a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. Now we're talking a team that is truly unstoppable. Right now, Dak doesn't give us that. Dak gives us management, smart playing, take what you get, and he's going to get better. He's a young man. He's a rookie. He's going to get better. He's going to get the experience, and he'll be at Romo's level one day. But for people to start already calling for Romo's job, it's ridiculous. And you call me a homer, and that's fine, but there is a difference between being a homer and being realistic. And these are just the facts. These are the games that Dak has played. He hasn't hit 300 yards. He hasn't had more than 1 passing touchdown. And I'm happy with Dak. I'm really happy for the kid. I like him, and I know he's our future. But we live in the present, and that's what Tony Romo's going to bring. And that's what we're going to need because our defense is not very good. We're not getting any pass rush. And until that changes, unless that's going to come via D-Law, Tapper, or Gregory at some point, we're going to need more points. Against better teams, we are going to need more points. We're going to need to be in the 30s. And it might start as early as next week because the San Francisco 49ers have a fairly good defense. Not fairly good today against the Seahawks, but they have a good defense, better than the Bears. And they have Chip Kelly as their O coordinator. And if Hoyer can pick us apart, Chip Kelly can pick us apart. So it's going to be a tough game. And these are just things to think about as we get into the season. If we really hope to make the playoffs and make a run, we need Romo. And we need Dak to keep learning, keep getting better, be more accurate, be more confident taking shots down the field. He had a really nice pass. It was a dime to Cole on the left-hand side. But still, we need to see more of that. And it's not time yet. It's his time right now to give us everything he got and get us 1 to 2 more victories before Tony Romo returns. If you can get 1 more, that's what I thought was best case scenario, 3-3. But if we can go 4-2, that would be awesome and set us up to stay right behind the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to do it for today. Enjoy the victory. I'm happy with it. Always going to be critical of every play and every choice that we make. But that's just to become a better fan. And I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week. And I'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday to cover the game versus the 49ers. Have a good one. Go Cowboys.